Alrighty, welcome back to the Growth Factor podcast. So, in today's interview discussion, we're going to be talking about AI marketing and
Mm.
how it's all transforming in the current landscape that we're in. So, I'm TG and I'm here with DK. So, DK's from Growth Factor, and we've been actually having a lot of chats lately about marketing in general, and AI is slowly creeping in and taking over everything. We're really just going to be diving into how AI is transforming marketing and where you're seeing that in your business and for your clients' businesses as well, because that's who you're really serving in this market. So, are you ready for the first question?
hmm Yeah.
Okay. So, first question I wanted to ask was, in your view, what is AI marketing and how does AI marketing work in practice when you're getting results for your clients?
Yeah. I personally don't think there's a thing called AI marketing. I think people just make it up because it's easier. It's a little bit like saying TV marketing.
Right.
It's just marketing, and all that's happening is people are using AI now. So I think what will end up happening is over time, people will understand a little bit more about the tool because AI is just really a new tool that helps you apply the pre-existing concepts that have been around since the beginning of time. So it's just a new way of delivering the same thing. So I don't think there's AI marketing to a degree. I think what's happening is marketing is now evolving with the use of AI to enable marketing to do things that it couldn't do before. So it's
Okay.
communicating in a new way. Yeah.
Right. So, fundamentals are exactly the same, but AI itself is changing how we do marketing. Is that kind of what you
Correct.
mean?
It's
Yeah.
it's enabling a new way of communicating that wasn't enabled to be done before. Just like social media enabled a new way of communicating. Communicating with humans has always been around. They've just
Mhm.
created new ways of doing it together. Social media in itself hasn't been anything new except a connection that wasn't able to be done before in that way. And AI will enable the same sort of thing. It will evolve the way that humans communicate with each other. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so maybe a better question would be, what's your take on how AI is changing marketing, or maybe even better worded, like how does AI affect marketing as a whole?
Yeah, I think what we'll see is with AI coming in, it's going to enable a few things, both good and bad, right?
Okay.
So the on the good side, what it will allow us to do is to have more personalized interactions with each other in a more efficient way. Like given enough time, it's going to allow for more efficient communications to be done between human beings, which reduces the speed of value time, right? So humans, when they're involved in like speed to value, are a lot of the times a bottleneck, right? Humans increase the time it takes to get value because other humans are involved. Now, if the human is the value, then obviously it doesn't. But where humans are not needed for it, it reduces that time. So on the good side of it is it will speed up the rate at which personalized products can be delivered to an individual for much less cost than currently is available, because humans cost money, products cost more money because it costs so much to develop because of the humans. So it will enable more personalized communication at scale and personalized delivery of experiences and products for much cheaper than that can be done now. So that's one good side. The other thing it
Mhm.
will allow is it will allow more efficient ability for a customer to be able to get things that they couldn't get done before. For example, they can have a conversation with an AI at 11:30 at night, whereas before you'd have to have that conversation at 9 a.m. in the morning or whenever you can get booked in with that client. So it will enable, more of the ability for human beings to communicate on their own terms.
Mhm.
And then the third one that I see coming down, apart from personalization at scale and efficiency of delivery, is that where communication skill was um, a resistance point where you needed people who are really good at communicating, AI can pick up the slack. So where people aren't great at communicating, AI can pick up the slack on their behalf. So you're going to have a much higher level of capacity of communication on the fundamentals of communication. The context might be a little bit out, depending on how well the AI understands things. But the level of communication now has been improved across board, because if someone could only write it year 5 level before, and AI now can make sure that all of their communications are at high level, right? And they can communicate well on their behalf. Like a good example of this is now that they're using AIs with the mobile phones, and they translate straight to another language. You needed to learn the other language to do that before. Now you don't.
Yeah.
You just need to talk
Yeah.
to it, and it will communicate on your behalf. So it can communicate better than humans, and empower humans who don't naturally have that communicative ability to be more empowered. So communication is no longer a barrier. So different languages can communicate with each other much better than before. These are all the positive things that are coming with AI, just generative AI as a whole, without even the back end kind of AI. The negative things that is coming with it is we're going to see an explosion of content. So what that means is, with that explosion of content, that you're going to see trust going down further and further and further and further. And it's going to be harder and harder and harder to stand out from the noise, because you're going to see trust in the communication go down, and people paying less and less attention to communication. So ironically, you get this paradox where communication improves, but the amount
Yeah.
of it causes a desensitization to communication, so less people pay attention to it. Right. So now what you're actually going to see is more people are empowered to communicate well, but now you're going to have spamming AI at scale. So less people are going to pay attention to the communication. So now what you're actually going to have, in my opinion, is because you've got so much communication, the standards of everything have just risen again for you to become successful in that space, because it's just a much higher level, and people will just trust things a lot less. So my opinion is that there's going to be a lot of like communication in the market. It'll be very desensitized. People will become more and more overwhelmed with the messages. They'll start zoning out a lot of communication, and they'll start only trusting the brands and the companies and the people that they've maintained long-standing relationships. So I think that buying cycle is about to extend, unless they've already known, because the trust cycle is going to take a lot longer, because they don't know this person, because there's so many people screaming at them from the sidelines, like, buy my stuff. Before, there was 2 people on the sidelines, buy my stuff. Before, now it's like 1 million. So everyone's going to go into their little bubbles. They're going to choose the brands and the companies that they trust, which is built over time. And in my opinion, what will happen is you'll see this fundamental shift from people buying from brands and people that they trust, because they need more transparency. It's going to take longer, but they're actually going to do the transacting with the AI itself. So they don't want to talk to a human being before they buy something unnecessarily. They want to buy on their own terms through an AI who will facilitate the transaction, but they want to buy from the people that they know and trust, and they have developed a relationship over time. Whereas before,
So
it was the opposite before. Like, go back 20 years ago, it was the opposite. People bought from brands. People trusted brands with no face on them, and they bought from people with faces, right? Now it's going to be, they'll buy from brands with faces, and they'll transact with people with no faces. So before it
Wow,
was
that's weird.
buying from people, before it was buying from brands who are faceless and doing the sale and the transaction with a person on the phone. The next phase, in my opinion, is going to be buying from faces that they trust, transacting with faceless entities, AI.
Okay, so communication is better. Communication is going to become less important. Trust is going to have to be the defining factor. So what does that mean in the AI marketing world, or AI technology world, sorry, for building trust? Like, what will new and upcoming people need to do? What does that mean?
Yeah, in my opinion, what it means is it will take more trust before people will buy things, right? is what, like, however you do that. Now, if you're really, really amazing and you can develop that trust in a very, very short period of time because you're just
Hmm.
everywhere, all over the news, and you got all this social proof and external validation, and you can compress that trust time right down, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take a long time to build a brand, because you got these external signals proving that you're trustworthy, right? So you can compress it still, but it's going to need these traditional signals of trust amplified, right? Because people will become more less trustworthy of things that they're going to be more skeptical of everything because of
Sure.
AI. Everything's going to be way more skeptical, which means the trust bar has become higher. But I think what will also happen is it means that the people who do jump that trust bar will have more of the market,
Hmm.
because it's like a nightclub. Everyone only wants to go to one nightclub because everyone else is that nightclub. Because when there's a lot of skepticism in the market, people just look around to what everyone else is doing because it seems like the safe bet. It's like, I don't know
Sure.
which nightclub is the best one to go into. Let's just go where everyone else seems to be lined up is probably the best.
Yeah. Same happens with restaurants, actually. I do that. I'm like, oh, which one's the busiest? I'm going there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
think that AI will mostly be used in that space is for improving processes and quality of things operationally. It's more like an
Mhm.
operational um, and transactional technology to improve operationals and speed of transaction and
Yeah.
personalization at scale. But people will still want to take time to trust that the actual brand and the values behind it. So people care more about, whether or not you got if they value what you value and you're a trustworthy group.
Got it. So, but the next question that comes immediately after all of that is,
Mm,
sure, trust, building the trust the quickest is probably the best tactic. But then,
mm,
when you just said explosion of content, it doesn't that just mean the competition for building that trust quickly is going to go up as well?
correct.
Does growth factor help other businesses with stuff like that?
Yeah, so Growth Factor's main mandate is to help business owners stay up to date with the technology and install this stuff into their business. Like, it's a never
Okay.
ending thing. There's no, if you go back 10 years ago, there was something new that you needed to add back then. It was like, we better get you onto Facebook, this new technology, right?
Mm,
So that's never end. That's what business is like. It's just that. But the thing is business owners, a lot of them don't have time to be going through and trawling through, the best things for them, because there's a lot going on. The world has gotten busier. There's a lot more signals that become overwhelming. So businesses probably more than ever are more overwhelmed. And I think
mm.
there's probably a lot more businesses now. And I don't know the statistics, but I'm guessing that there's more businesses now than there has been before, because it's easier to start one, but it's harder to make one successful. So I'm guessing that's the case. So you're going to have a lot more smaller business owners trying to do their own thing, and it's pretty overwhelming. So
Small business owners also struggle with the creation of content too. Like that's a really big overwhelm point for them, isn't it?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So that's why, we think at Growth Factor, the best combination, depending on where the person is at in their business, is it's not just one thing that's going to solve everything in them. Each business is going to have broadly some constraints to growth, and they're going to be
Hmm.
operational, marketing, and all that sort of stuff. But I think as a general product stack from the marketing perspective for all businesses now, some sort of social media content where they're actually talking about what they know in the world is
Hmm.
an important part of the marketing mix now, because it's becoming more and more important. Whereas before, even a few years back, you didn't really have to do it that much. You could still get away. But with AI coming in, skepticism is going to an all-time high over the next few years. I
Hmm.
think, doing social media as a general rule, with where people know who's behind the company, is becoming more and more important for transparency because AI. Whereas 5 years ago, where you didn't have to worry about it, there wasn't going to be this this explosion of AI scammers probably coming into the mix, right? And I think that's really what we're trying to combat as a whole. So you'll need social media, depending on where you are, some paid advertising, and then you need a good system to be able to convert those things into customers, and that's
One thing that's really like standing out about all of this as well is while the solutions are amplifying like left, right, and center, like, I feel like there's a new one every single day. So are the problems that they could create. It's like, I don't know if the world's always been like this, but it feels like with this specific boom, for every solution that is just coming out of the woodwork, there's 10 other problems that can come with it. So, and it just seems really pronounced with this whole change. So
yeah.
it's
Well,
interesting
look,
times.
I don't have the stats. I have seen graphs around it, but I do
Mm,
think AI's growth rate is the fastest growth rate of any technology that we have. And look, I could be making things up here, but I think
mhm.
it's because its ability to like keep evolving because it's AI quickly is what's causing the speed of which it's evolving. I think it only took, I think it was like 3 years before AI hit ChatGPT hit 800 million users. It took 7 or 8 years for crypto. And then I think it was something like 15 years or something before the internet hit that. So it's
Yeah, right.
significantly faster, like the speed of adoption.
Yeah. Well, I guess though, but like with the internet, then crypto on top of it, if this is the third wave, it's like the third time we've had a technology boom. Like it's easier to get on board. Well, I found it easier to catch up with than, say, the internet. I mean, I was really young when the internet came out, but
Yeah.
um,
I
yeah,
would
just
say that
watching it.
definitely, I'd say that definitely played a big part. Like a lot of, we've got a lot more foundation being built.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. So with AI marketing, I keep saying AI marketing, sorry, AI technology and transforming marketing, could
Yeah.
you give us some examples in terms of where you're seeing that on the ground or in your
Mm,
businesses where
mm.
AI is, morphing marketing into something different? It can be good, it can be bad. Give us all of it, actually.
Yeah. So, look, I think the most obvious one, and it's not a new thing, is that you're seeing generative. The first place where it impacted was in advertising copy, like
Okay.
generative AI, like just generating
Hmm.
copy. And it's been doing that for a long time. So,
Yep.
that's the first big one. And now, obviously, we're starting to see that creep into creatives, people using it for creatives. And then we're
Hmm.
seeing it with some of the AI multimedia with like videos and UCG and things like this as well. And then, obviously with voice, you see it being used in voice and these sorts of things. And then on the back end, you're seeing it being used to train marketing signals and like Facebook and all that sort of stuff. And obviously, even broadly, when you look at Andromeda with Facebook's new update, it relies heavily on AI. So I think what we're seeing is the current category for AI, the way I look at it, is things that face the humans and interact with the human directly, and then the
Mm,
back of house. So it's like the front of house and the back of house, and it's impacting both. The AI copy, the main thing that I'm seeing there is that it will generate lots of copy very quickly, but it needs to be trained. But the dark side of it is you can get into a feedback loop where you're just repeating copy over and over and over again to try to get a particular outcome. So it's the good part about using AI in marketing is if you already have something that you have a voice and a tone and a template and everything's well structured, it will do a good job at repeating that thing, right?
okay.
But the accuracy of it, you need to be okay with some of the accuracy not being there. So it'll be like 95% right. It won't never ever be 100% right. So
Yeah.
everything needs to have like a human AI hybrid. So it empowers humans to be better, but the humans still need to know context, strategy, and enough about the business and the topic so that they can pick up when the AI got wrong. That it back in the old days, you needed people who wrote copy to check to make sure that they can spell and there's correct grammar. AI does that properly now. You don't
Yeah.
need those people. What you
Get
need
that
is
off the
people,
list.
take that off the list, right? What
Yeah.
you need is people who understand the customer, who
Mm,
understand what they're saying, who understand context and contrast. And these sorts of things is where the AI doesn't understand because it doesn't have the data set available that a human being does. And so
Sure.
now what ends up happening is, like for example, a marketing like ad copywriter, like a low level one, could just get
Mm.
by following company templates and stuff like that, and they'll do a reasonable job. But now the AI will do all that better than they can. So they now need to know how to do the strategy and understand whether or not the AI is saying the right thing at the right time in the right way. And that takes a different level of skill, right? So that's
Okay.
one thing that's happening is it sounds great, but there's problems that come with it as well, right? The other thing too is you can spend like a morning trying to get copy right, like
Hmm.
an hour trying to get the right copy because you revised it 100 times because you can on ChatGPT. Like, let me write this ad copy like 100 times. But if you just sat down and wrote it, it was
Yeah.
actually faster
Yeah.
than trying to get it to
And all the
rewrite it.
revisions back and
All the
forth.
revisions back and forward,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
100.
if you are in a space where you can loosely shoot it off, fine. But if you want to be really picky, so what's actually happening now is some of the critical thinking component, you need to be good at scanning and context. But if you really
Hmm.
need to think, then writing it by hand still has its place as well. And that's why, like, that's probably the main scenarios that I'm seeing that's bad. Is it's very easy to put out a huge amount of like 6 to 8 out of 10 content. It's very
Mm.
hard to put out a huge amount of 10 out of 10 content.
Sure.
That's probably the main thing that I'm seeing. Yeah.
So does companies' internal data play a big role in being able to train AI? Because surely you can, if as long as you know your avatar and you know the voice and the tone and everything, surely you
Mm.
can train a GPT or something to get in and speak like you, so it gets it more than 95% right. But it's got to be dependent on what you feed it, like the quality of what you feed it. So business owners really need to be reviewing that, don't they, before they jump into this and start using it willy-nilly.
Yeah, I don't think the average business owner is thinking about like feeding AIs like big data sets to be able to generate marketing. General ones, I think most of them probably get on ChatGPT and go, write me an ad, or what do you think about this? It's like friendly person that they can have a conversation with. That is, I think, the average person. But for the ones that are much higher level, the way that
Mm.
if they want to move to that higher level to be able to try to build strong internal marketing systems, the best
Mm.
way to do it is to build out a really strong data set. Now, you would probably want to have this anyway if you're onboarding, depending on like how big your team is and what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like if you got an internal marketing team or you're trying to do it yourself, then you'd probably already have SOPs and all these things available because you've got to train humans. So training an AI is a bit like training a human,
Mm.
and most business owners would probably agree if a human can get it 95% right all the time, then they'll probably be happy with that too, right? As a
Sure.
general rule, because humans make errors as well. So I think really when it comes down to how to utilize AI the best in a business, the ideal situation is for it to have a really strong data set to work off, to have clear rules. If the business owner has strong like SOPs and training materials inside, then the AI can work off that. But then you'll probably see as you start working with it, whatever gaps that are in the data set, because AI will fill gaps on things it doesn't understand when asked for a task.
Yeah, I think you'll find lots of business owners, they have the process in their head, but not on paper, like an SOP.
Yeah.
So they've just bootstrap trained someone. And I think the further question I want to ask on top of that
Mm,
is that something Growth Factor can come in and help with? Like, let's say
mm,
the business owner only has it in their head. Like, how can you guys help with
mm.
extrapolating that out and putting it into practice with A, their marketing, and B, with AI too?
Yeah. So our main focus with Growth Factor is to focus on the things that are going to get the highest leverage, highest outcome for the business. So normally
Hmm.
we would start off obviously on the top end with the marketing and then kind of move down that customer experience down to where it's reasonable before a human being has to take over, right? So that's fundamentally
Right.
what we do. Now, the way that we handle that internally is get people on podcasts like this and then have a
Sure.
conversation where we can talk them through everything about their business and what they do in a nice casual way. It makes it a lot easier to get what's in that business owner's head out onto something that's recorded, right? Because most business owners that I know, the last thing that they want to do is sit down and write down a 9-page document of every single little piece of it. Some of them like it. But look, most business owners, they sit down, have a pint at the pub. They can probably talk your ear off about everything that they do for 2 hours quite comfortably, but sit them down in front of a screen and say, write down 9 pages of what you do in immaculate detail. Too hard, and then they're just not going to do it, right? It's not the path of least resistance. So I just think, even though it's probably not as perfect as sitting down and doing everything in detail, I think the most practical way is to have podcasts like this, talk to them, get everything out of their head through multiple sessions, and then we turn that into something that can be used, and then train the AI on that.
Cool. Sorry, just circling back to one other thing that you did bring up before. You said it was very easy to understand that generative AI is, changing marketing in the way of copy and images. Clearly, that's a given, and it's very easy to see how that's implemented. But you said something about the Andromeda update. So where does that impact marketing, and who on the team has to deal with that, and what does it give and take away from them compared to how they would normally work pre-AI days?
Yeah, so, and you probably see this with a lot of the channels, lot of the media channels implementing AI. So traditionally, as a media buyer or an advertising person using any of these platforms, you had to manually go and, and that was part of the art form, right? Is you needed to go figure out where the interest groups are, what interest groups you were working with, and then you would have to structure marketing and offers according to the interest groups that you could target. So that's traditionally how it's been done for like forever. But then AI's come along, and with some of the third party like privacy updates and all these sorts of things have become such a bigger issue, and then AI's come along. What the media platforms are doing more of, and they're leaning more of, is letting AI choose the audiences for the ads and just taking that off the media buyers and marketers altogether, for good or for bad, right? In theory, for good, it means it's less quotation mark less research for the media buyer. But on the flip side, you're really trusting in the AI, and some of the AI right now is very, you got mixed reports on its efficiency and effectiveness, right? So, when you control everything, you got more, it's all on you. But when you're handing it over, it's not all on you. So the main thing that's affected is two separate people or two separate roles in it. The first one is the marketer and or / media buyer, if you're talking specifically on media platforms like Facebook, where they used to spend a lot more time figuring out who the audiences are and then tailoring the ads and the offers and everything to that specific audience. Whereas now it's mostly all about which is the right campaign structure for that specific campaign, along with the creators and the copy, because based on those events that are being tracked, the AI then will then match what it thinks the best fit is for the copy and the creative to the audience behind the scenes. So it's now changed a lot in regards to that. You can't really pick as much as you can before. The AI will go out and shoot based on what's in the copy, etc. So that's the main thing. And then obviously the people setting it up back then, it was pretty easy. The media buyer would just put pixel and land as you're good. Now, depending on what you're using, there's CAPI and API connections and stuff as well. So it's a little bit more technical in the background.
Yeah. Well, I can only see, I mean, with that, like less control over who it's going to show it to. Like you are handing over your trust to, Facebook or whatever platform to go and find that person. But you're putting the trust in that, and they're just going to spend your money for you. It sounds like more money for them, more control for them, in a way.
Yeah. It's a bit of a perfect storm, because when they had, I think it was called Cambridge, that Cambridge leak or whatever they called it back in a while back, 5 years ago, and there was all that, everyone's saying that I think it was Cambridge Analytica, I think was the name of the leak.
There was a big scandal or something.
Scandal, and then it kind of changed this whole like tracking system for everyone. That kind of put like a big wrench in this whole system. And then with AI coming in, I think they've just seen AI as a way to solve the privacy issues, ironically, and then improve the way that, the ads are run. So, I think we're going to see more of it, more trust in the AI, which is for good or bad, you know, because in some things AI is better than humans, and other things, you don't know.
Do you know, it also, one thing that it does bring up for me too is it takes away the art or the skill of being a marketer too, because like all those things, like the controls, picking your audience, the creatives, all the copies, it's almost like there's no way to make your skill sets stand out if everybody is using the same skill sets. It levels the playing field. There's no competing is no longer about skill. It's more about what Facebook thinks is fair, kind of thing. In a way, it's hard.
Yeah, a little bit. It comes back to that original, discussion we had earlier around being able to stand out in the noise, because
Yeah,
AI is going to make things even more noisier, which means the
yeah,
bar for attention keeps increasing, and that's what's actually happening. So it isn't that the skill in marketing has been reduced. What's happened is that way of marketing is less effective over time, so it needs to change. So it's a little bit like comparing newspaper printing with digital marketing. Newspaper printing as a whole, right, has become less valued because less people read the newspaper. So knowing how to like set up printing presses and print paper, if that was your job, is becoming less valued, but the
yeah.
writing and the letters on the paper are still valued. They just transition them over to the internet, and people read them now on the internet instead of reading them on paper. So the technical skill of the printing press is not as important as the technical skills of making it digital. That's
Yeah.
changed, but the communication is still as valuable as before, right? That's the main differences. So now what's actually happened is marketers just need to change their approach from, okay, well, I need to do this. You just need to change the way that you communicate, because the game's changed slightly again.
Sure. All right. So, and in that sense, does AI marketing work? I guess it's probably a redundant question, actually. Does AI marketing work better than traditional marketing at this point in time? It's
I
what's your answer to that? Actually, I will ask the question.
Yeah, well, the answer to that is depends on what context you're looking at it for, right? So depends on the lens in which you view it, and it's all
Hmm.
about context, right? So AI marketing, depending on what you define as marketing, I define it as the client acquisition process through to having them becoming not even aware of you, all the way through to being happy as your customer, right? So
Yep.
where it shines and where it does better than humans is being able to deliver things at lower cost that used to take humans, or being able to raise the quality of something that used to cost a lot more. So there is some cost savings within that process that's there, and it
Hmm.
raises the bar, right? So that's the main difference. But what's also changed now is you need to be better in other areas. So it's better at doing repetitious tasks where there's some level of error that's okay, right? That's what it's enabled within the marketing space or the customer service space. It's enabled more efficient ability for doing that. But in other areas where you do need humans, where you do need that touch, it's not so great there. Like that's what it is. And we've even seen it, like we've tested using AI callers and things like this in our business. And the funny thing is there's even just one example where one of the customers would rather talk to the AI caller than a human being, because we actually
No
had
way.
we actually had them talking to the voice AI about a particular issue, and then we
Hmm.
reached out as a human. They didn't want to talk to the human being because for whatever reason, maybe it was just a bad time. And I think you're probably going to see more of that, because the human dynamic and a AI dynamic are different. People will treat AI differently to they treat people. People will not feel the social pressure being on a call with an AI that they do feel being on a call with a human being.
Yeah.
Like that's the fundamental difference. The AI will allow them to be like scrolling on the internet, doing things on their age. It's like an evolution of a web page. It's like I get to
Yeah.
scroll on the internet, and if I don't want to see this internet page, I just shut it. With an AI, it's an evolution of that same experience where they have control over the experience without feeling
Yeah.
guilt. They can hang up on the AI without feeling guilt, whereas they can't hang
Yeah.
up on a human being without feeling guilt. They're not going to feel pressured from an AI to buy something, but they feel pressured by human beings to buy something. That's
Of course.
fundamentally the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Let's talk about the benefits of AI in marketing and what your clients are seeing from their perspective. So, like some of the major benefits of AI in marketing that your clients are seeing.
Yeah, so the main differences of this, I think I've shared earlier, is that AI now will allow you to do more with less. That's fundamentally it. You can do more with less. Now,
Yep.
it doesn't mean that suddenly, and it also means that you can test different things. So the clients themselves, like it enables on the marketing side, which they don't see that much of. It enables us to create better quality outputs for them, right,
Mm.
in a more efficient way is
Yeah.
generally what it is. But as a business owner, like for me personally, I generally don't care how something is done as long as it's done good quality, and I'm not stressed out about whether or not this is worth it. Like they're the two things that I really care about is good quality, and I feel like it's worth it. And as long as there's no headaches on my side, I don't care. I don't go to McDonald's and go, I can't believe you used like a little shaper thing to do the meat instead of you did it by hand. Like, I don't care about the
Yeah.
process. You know what I mean? I
Give
care
me the
about,
burger.
I just want the burger. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't like what this, you didn't do it like that, So,
Yeah.
but what it enables for business owners now is we're moving into a world where they used to have a human to do things, they don't
Mm.
need as many humans to do it. So for example, the AIs can handle things like some of the basic customer service where you normally needed to have a human being on hand to be able to handle that, for example. And I think you'll see more of this now, where you'll
Mm.
see more humans interacting with AI, which for good or bad means that there's one less headcount in the company that they need to pay for it as their average business owner. Like that's the main thing is, especially for the business owners who don't really want to grow huge teams, it enables them to leverage technology a lot more to achieve the same outcomes for less like stress, because obviously having a team can be stressful at times.
Sure.
Humans aren't going to argue with you mostly. I know it's early days with AI. Maybe AI is going to start arguing with you soon.
We'll see. Um, all right. So this one is for any business owners who are only just now realizing that they need to be using AI to stay competitive. How can AI be used in marketing as a very first step? Like they're completely green. What's the best first step where they can start implementing it into their marketing stack?
It really depends on what the main issue is that they're trying to solve, because you can implement AI in all different areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're trying to run ads, obviously you can use it to build ad copies, for example. If they don't have to worry about that, then the other thing that it can handle is things like some customer service. It can handle on their behalf as well. So that is a possibility, as long as you're not doing very complicated things. It can book appointments for you. It can answer the phone for you. It can handle basic things like that, which I think is really valuable to a lot of small business owners, because you know that particular component with like being around answering being calls all the time unnecessarily, I think is a bit of a time suck and headache for them, especially if they can get someone else to handle it. So I think what you can see is AI on the front end is going to be best suited for anything where there's going to be some communication involved that doesn't need a huge amount of like regulatory oversight. Like you wouldn't want to have your AI providing medical advice. Not the average one. ChatGPT, I don't think is a good prospect to give diagnosis on medical conditions currently, right? But to
Yeah.
answer like basic questions and basic customer service, I think the world is pretty damn close to having that really solid. And then also it just means that, some of the marketing materials and things like that can be a little bit better now than before. Like they're the main things that I see it being used for. Yeah.
Okay. And out of all of those things, where is AI being used the most across your whole, brands, like across all the brands that you've got? Um, and in those product offerings that each brand has,
Mm.
where's the main place where AI is being used the most?
Yeah, so the main things currently that we're seeing it being used for is probably is actually getting tasks done. So, for example, building things like copy, also building out things like SOPs and instructionals. These
Mm-hmm.
things are handy. Obviously, you need to know the business to know if it's being used well. Customer service is also another big one as well. So, if you look at it on a spectrum, at one end, it's building out things like marketing and onboarding materials and
Yeah.
promotional stuff, and then handling customer questions and things like that as well. So yeah.
Okay. And where is AI being used the most for you personally as a CEO?
Me personally, it's mostly to do with getting up to speed with different ideas very quickly, and
Okay.
that's the main thing. It enables like speed and flushing through ideas very quickly and getting a quick rundown on different perspectives around it. It also enables to us to consume lots of like knowledge and then turn it into actionable things quickly instead of having to go through like entire long bits of information. I can go, okay, well, this looks like what we need to do. Grab it, transcribe it, turn it into something that's useful that I can go do something with. So it's speed to execution.
Yeah. All right,
Mm.
cool. And understanding what needs to be executed as well, like organizing information. That's how, I know this isn't about me, but personally, that's where I'm finding it
Yeah,
really useful as well. Like when
yeah.
there's lots of variables on the table, it helps like drill down to what the most important things are to work on. So, yeah, awesome. All right. And what's one of the most surprising AI applications you've discovered since, you and your teams have been working with AI?
I personally think, even though it's not there just yet, I personally think the voice AIs is the most interesting one at this point in time, even though it's probably one of the most hard to master, is
Yeah.
that. And the reason being is because I think it is the one that has the most capacity to make an impact in the um, business space, because it's a front-facing human like communication that you would traditionally need a human to deal with all the time. So I think there's a lot of opportunity around that space, and I think also when people start using it, it's the one that's probably got the biggest wow factor, because when you see something written, it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
wrote something, I can read it. That was kind of cool. But now it's like when you talk to it and you can directly hear it and integrate with it, then it's next level. Yeah.
You're so right, actually. Like I mean, compared to where we were maybe even 3 years ago, hearing an AI voice or a text to speech generator, actually, and the way it would talk and it would be like this, and you'd be like, whoa, it's pretty articulate. But like
Mm,
when I hear AIs talk now, like I'm starting to get AI everywhere in what I'm interacting with on the internet. But the
mm,
latest voices that I've been hearing from AI chatbots, you feel the emotion in their voice, and it's
mm.
almost eerie in a way,
That's
because you're
right.
like, this is a machine. I know it's a machine, but it just sounds so real.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that gives it away for me is like the latency sometimes. Like if there's latency between me saying something and then getting a response, I'll go, oh yeah, I'm on with an AI. But the actual response itself is like it's getting there.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the one with the most wow factor too. And I think we'll probably see a future where people will interact with AIs by voice mostly, because it's the most
Mm,
convenient. Because you can be
mm,
anywhere and you can just say something and the AI can talk to you like Jarvis from Iron Man, right? Whereas getting in front of a computer and typing, not so fun and convenient. Getting in front
yeah,
of it, I mean, maybe you like to look at AI face and talk to it, but holding something up and looking at it's probably not as convenient. I think what we'll probably see is a future where people are doing stuff, as much as it's a bit freaky, with like the Meta Ray glasses, and they're talking to an AI like Jarvis inside their thing. I
I'm
think that's
so
probably
interested in
where
that.
is going. It's the most convenient, and humans like to choose the most convenient route as a general rule.
Of course. I am on that train. All right. So I wanted to ask you as well, just who are, in your opinion, are the best AI marketing companies that really kicking butt in this and that you're drawing inspiration from at the moment?
I don't know every marketing company in the world. I honestly, I don't really pay attention to all the marketing companies. But
Okay.
what I
AI
think,
companies?
yeah, even then, like I know I pay attention to the actual AI companies and what they're doing, the builders, right? Like everyone building the stuff like OpenAI and
Let's go
Grok
with
and
them
all that
then.
sort of stuff. Like I pay attention to all of them. I
Mm,
personally don't have like a specific like quotation mark winner of any of them just yet. I think they're all different. Like I've spent time with all of the like big ones using all of their different LNMs. I think they're all a little bit different, and they've probably got different use cases for each one that they're better at than others. And it's funny
mm,
because some days I'm really liking one AI, and then another day the other one like steps up, and so when it comes to L&Ms, I can't really like say, well, this one is the best. I don't think so. It's just changing so rapidly all the time, and all the different use cases are used, and they all have different days where they're good at stuff. But when it comes to marketing quotation mark AI companies or AI, I don't think there is such a thing just yet. I think all you have is marketing companies, and they're
yep.
using AI, right? So I think
Sure.
all the ones, if you see somebody putting out good marketing, right, then that's probably just the judge of it, right? Because depending on their positioning around AI, most marketing companies will have some sort of AI usage to some degree inside their company. So every marketing company is an AI marketing company now. If they're not, then that's their positioning, and they're kind of going like, oh well, I'm going to be the pen and paper marketing company out of the group as my positioning. So yeah.
Sure. All right. And how will or how hang on, sorry. I've got a few more questions that I need to ask and get to the end too. All right, next one. So, what's your take on how AI will change marketing in the next 2 years, say?
I think what you'll see is I think like I shared with you before, broadly and tactically, I think broadly what you'll end up seeing is they're going to have a much higher bar for trust, because there's going to be a lot more people being able to get into the market to do more marketing, which means you'll have an explosion of C grade marketing. It's a lot of noise across the
Mhm.
space, a lot more. There's going to be a lot more things to choose from, and trust is going to go down. So people want to start leaning more into people and businesses that they trust, because they don't know. There's too many no-name butters on the shelf nowadays. They go there. It used to be 2 no-name butters. Now there's 100 no-name butters to choose from, and that's going to cause that as a problem. And then
Yeah.
I think what you'll end up seeing is more of an integration of AI being used within the customer value chain in customer experience. So from one end, it'll be mostly used in either providing the right messages to the right people in the right way, better than human beings can, and personalizing the communications with them. So whether that's by voice calling or chatbots and things like that as well. I think give it 5 years, you might even have AIs talking to other AIs on our behalf, and you won't even have humans in there. It'll be like, hey, my little Javas, can you go find me this and buy something for me, and then just get it delivered, please? And my little Javas will go talk to the shop's AI and do the communication, and then it'll just turn up.
Yeah, wow. That's a different world, man.
Mm.
Okay, so this is like a joint question. It's kind of like a 2-in-1.
Mm.
Can AI replace marketing jobs, and will AI replace marketing jobs? What's your 2 cents?
No, I don't think it will. I think what it will do is it might, and it's probably going to cause an issue with it, is it probably replace the lower level marketing jobs, like the entry
Mhm.
level stuff is probably going to replace, especially at least in the short term. I think what you'll end
Like
up
what?
having.
What's an entry level job?
So if you're like an intern or someone just learning the ropes at a marketing firm, whatever that may be, like, someone coming in as like a marketing assistant for something, I think you might see less of that, just because you don't need like a beginner marketer in there doing it. You just have more senior people having an AI do most of the like heavy lifting for them. I think that's probably what you'll end up seeing, for good or for bad. But later on, I think it's going to cause problems, because those specialists with AI end up, depends if we go to UBI or something before the whole thing goes to shit. But in theory, if it doesn't all go to shit, right, then those older people who've been only using AI that whole time won't have any fresh blood to replace them. So it's going to cause problems like that across board, I think, because now you don't need lower level like team members, which would normally replenish the upper level team members over time. You don't need them, because the senior is now just going to have an AI doing all the tasks that it would normally just give like the intern or the assistant to do. You don't need it. Like, that's the main thing that I'm seeing. And then it taking over more of the value chain. I don't think it's going to destroy it. I think it will just evolve it so that people in marketing will have to wear a lot more hats rather than just one specialization, and know a lot more than before, because AI will fill the gap. So instead of you only knowing one thing, you'll have like 5 different hats that you can do now instead of just only one.
Okay. And what can people like the marketing intern that probably won't even get a look in anymore, what can they do to prepare for AI taking, that job that they probably would get, because like if that's the starting point, the expectation to even just get your foot in the door is going to be harder.
I think if you're like younger, then I would be just spending my time learning all the technical side, and because that there is the new wave. So it's just a new technology. It's a little bit like saying, if you ran a newspaper, what's going to happen now that you don't need the younger ones, the apprentices to fill the newspaper rounds anymore, right? It's similar to that. And it's like, well, you got to go learn social media now is what you need to go do. So now it's not like there's no need for new people to come into the space at all. It's more
It's just a different area.
skills. Yeah, it's the skills that need to be in there, and also need to be encouraged to learn AI and how it works and the new technologies, so that the older generation, who normally isn't that excited about learning some of the new tech and applying it, they've got someone to fill that gap, right? Because there's always a new thing that this generation, the next generation, is going to be good at, learn, that the older generation is going to lean onto. And this is just to be like the new technology, like AI and crypto is probably those 2 new things for the younger ones to focus their attention on. But it's like you got to learn both. Like, it's kind of like this, right? You need to learn marketing, and then you need to learn to apply it to social media. Like, that was the mix. It's like, you got to learn marketing, then you got to learn how to apply it to a social media platforms. Now it's like, you need to learn how to use marketing, and then you need to know how to use generative AI and other AI systems, because the world is moving to that. So you need to learn to market through AI itself. And you might see emerging
AI marketing. It is going to be a thing.
Yeah, that's right. So you might,
Are we
and look,
coining it right now?
yeah, maybe.
Sorry.
I'm sure the internet's a big place. I'm sure someone else has said it somewhere before us, but I think that's definitely a thing. I think probably things like AI SEO and generative AI, is replacing, traditional SEO. There's just going to be these new niches of marketing that you need to become good at, that the current specialists, will want someone to lean onto. You just can't learn old stuff. Like, you learn the fundamentals, and then you got to apply it to new technology that no one's really knowing how to use very well. So you can be on the front end.
Yeah, sure. All right. And for business owners that might be listening all the way to the end, thanks for hanging around. Actually, we've gone nearly on an hour. For any business owners that are listening and thinking about getting into this, they need to make a start on it, and they want to connect with you. What's the best first step?
Go to the website, Growth Factor, or some other links around here. I'm sure there is.
Yep, we'll leave one in the show notes. So, all right, cool, no worries. It's just the website? That's where you want people to go?
Yep.
All right, no worries. Any final thoughts?
No.
I'm hungry. All right, cool. That's it. That's it for today's video or podcast interview, and we'll catch you in the next one.